Hello, everyone. It is Goddess Michelle, and we are going to touch base on men, king, God, divine masculine energy. I know this energy has been coming through as a request for a long time. And because I have such a busy plate of goddess frequency, it took me some time to sit down and really touch base on this topic. And the title is going to be Judge a Man by His Wife. And the reason why this is extremely important is because we have to understand that the timeline shift that we're in has an urgency to it because the war is not physical, it's spiritual, based off of consciousness, principle, and ancient truths. So, listening to this, please, enter this space without opinion, without expectation, without your own conclusion until you listen. Because the thing is, there are over 8 billion people on planet Earth and everybody has an opinion, but leaders are going to be leading with a frequency they may trigger your own belief. And that's why we're leaders. And the trigger is the medicine. So enjoy it. And the other thing I want to say here is that, doing this work for this long and really understanding union within and the frequency of what a divine masculine is as well. It is so rare to actually hear the ancient truth of a man's role. And when we say to judge a man by his wife, what does that mean? It means who has this man taken on as his divine partner? Because she will represent the frequency, the code, the legacy, and the prophecy of his life. So in 2026, you're going to see a lot of relationships fail. Relationships have been failing probably since what, 2020, 2022, specifically when COVID hit. A lot of people had to face themselves in those moments of that awakening. But now we're really feeling the pressure of understanding, okay, so I am no longer who I was. I have awoken. And not only have I awoken to a greater path, a more aligned path, a path that feels more divine. I'm also understanding that what I wanted before in a partnership is no longer what I need in this present moment. Now, this is very important because this is when self betrayal can come into your nervous system, your awareness, and your biggest fear. Because self betrayal is someone who chooses to stay with someone because of a financial situation, because of a legal situation, or because of a comfort zone. The truth will always set you free. But first, it will piss you off. To judge a man by his wife, let's talk about the divine masculine energy as an energy in 2026, because it's not a gender. But I have to tell you, this is the year where gender needs to stop being a battlefield and start being empires, because every gender has a role. And this is where you will see if you are still vibing in a patriarchal matrix system or have you been initiated. They say it very simply like this: 2026, as a man, you're going to be initiated or you're the uninitiated. And it's very clear by the energy, by the presence, and by the vibration of the man to see where he actually is. I don't care about the followers. I don't care about how much money they have in their account. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the true divine masculine frequency. It's a frequency that each gender has, but in the end of the day, the man should really uphold that masculine energy, which will be his devotion to the feminine. Now, why this is important is because ancient teachings or ancient law is actually extremely simple. The feminine, the goddess, the woman is always above because she is above him because she's actually the spiritual leader. This is why we talk about judge a man by his wife. Because a man who is actually truly embodied and anchored in his masculinity understands that he too has an inner divine feminine, which is his goddess, first in his inner world to complete his wholeness. That is his task as a man. But he also understands if he's led to a physical union outside of himself, you can call this legacy partnership, divine counterpart, the power couple, whatever you want to call it. He understands now his role. His role is to be under her. Now, feel that in for a second, because if that triggers you already know that you're uninitiated. It's really that simple. Why is he under her? Because he needs to hold her up. She is the spiritual leader. A man can never replace a goddess. He can never be replaced as a goddess. Why? Because Creator did not create man to be a woman. And this is the biggest battlefield that people have been fighting about since the fall of Rome. The patriarchy created this false narrative that Eve was born right out of Adam's ribs. That is such bullshit. Let's just keep it real. Also, understanding the man is the head of the household. I am the alpha. I am the man. I am the husband. I am the head. The woman is the neck. No, none of that is correct. It might feel entertaining to you to act like that, but it's not right. That's why the best title for this is to judge a man by his wife. Because you have to understand, ancient law knows that the feminine, the goddess, leads on the spiritual level. A man can never access that. It's that simple. Look at all the men who are the gurus. There are some gurus, some spiritual teachers, some spiritual leaders. They're amazing, but I'm going to be honest with you. This is another triggering thing. They're not going to be around much longer because, and I'm talking about the ones who are, more mature, they're elder, they're reaching the end of their soul contract here. And the reason why is because they're teaching expired frequency. They still have great energy. They still come on. They still bow down. They still worship deities. They still have this and that, but that's expired. Because a man will never have access to Creator like a woman has. That's why we have the womb. That's why we are the 0 point, the void, the creatrix of life. That's why they have demonized women for thousands and thousands of years, because they knew that we have the connection to the highest vibration. Not all women, you know what I mean? I'm talking about those who are initiated. Now, this is really big because doing this work for what, like 10 years? I will say 95% of my clients are women, but there are moments when men enter the temple. And when these men enter the temple, their entire life changes. Why? Because they're getting initiated by the goddess. I am that goddess that initiates them. Now, these men have now created their own legacy. And till this day, they come up to me and go, Goddess Michelle, they've created like circles for men, healing for men. They've created one-on-one for men. They've created the things that they have created in the healing or the awakening spaces for men specifically have been wow, abundant. So proud of them. But what they say to me is like, these men are ridiculous. These men are ridiculous. Like, fuck them. Fuck these guys. They're never going to grow. Do you know how frustrating it is to hear that? And I know a lot of women on this path go, well, that is the truth. Why are men having such a hard time stepping into this role? I'll tell you why. Because you're working with other people who are still feeding your comfort zone. You're still taking milk off of your mama's breast. You're still paying for expired energy. Why? Because most people are still scared of the goddess. And men specifically are terrified because they don't want to become God. They are more comfortable in being a boy or a man versus a king. So you have to understand that these patterns are happening because they haven't been initiated. And only the goddess can initiate them. That's why the goddess, the woman, is above the man. Now, let's talk about this energetically. Why is the woman above the man? Well, if you look at any ancient civilizations like ancient Egypt, you will see Isis above Osiris. Why is this? Because he's strong? Sure. Because he's her protector? Of course. Because he's the provider? Of course. He is those things in the physical realm. But the reason why she is above him is because she is the gateway into the higher path that no man can enter. Without her, he will be lost in the matrix. He will be stuck in hell. He will be trapped in a karmic cycle. And what they're feeling right now, energetically, as the men are coming into this year, is that they're craving her more and more. They're feeling the urgency of this more and more. And why is because this has been really delayed. They have delayed the ascension on the collective level. This is why we're seeing all of these things happening, right? These volcano, these earthquakes, these tsunamis, hurricanes, whatever. And then we're also seeing what we're seeing on a global level. The thing is, you have to understand the war is spiritual, the war is consciousness. But if you are constantly feeding an expired teaching or even a false teaching, this is not going to go anywhere. It might sound great. You might sell out. You might make millions. You might be the most popular guru for the year. But that guru is actually in my temple crying to me about how miserable they are. This is what I'm trying to say to you. The things that are happening behind the scenes is extremely, I'm trying to find the right word for this, but it is extremely unfortunate. And the thing is, you cannot teach someone a higher vibrational frequency like a manifestation when that person is not truly in union with themselves because they are still fragmented or still working in expired codes. This is not personal, it's vibrational. I'm telling you right now, as an ancient one, ancient law is actually extremely simple, and humans like to complicate things because they are so programmed and so addicted to drama, chaos, the emotional body, the toxicity, the codependency, and all of the lack that they like to cover up with spiritual lingo. So, right now, when we're saying judge a man by his wife, it's really stating, is he really holding her up and understanding that she is actually the gateway to the higher fields? And that's how you create the holy trilogy on planet Earth. This is a perfect example. As divine feminine, as priestess, as a goddess, we are constantly in co creation with the heavens. People like to call this the 5D. It's not 5D, it's higher than 5D, but whatever you want to call it. I like to call it heaven. The heavens, right? Heaven and hell is a state of consciousness, but heaven is now being anchored into this physical realm. By the way, Venus is in Aquarius today. This is where the rebellious act really shows, because Venus in Aquarius loves humanitarianism, but the rebel goes, fuck humanitarian, fuck the humanity aspect of things. This is just going into another hamster wheel. Nothing is changing. You're fighting for human rights, but truly it is the human that has become the ego, and the ego must die. And death is only the beginning. And you need to understand divine energy is coming in, and divine feminine, divine masculine is literally just the start. That's just the heart chakra. And people go, oh, I've done this work, and the heart chakra is everything. No, it's not. The heart chakra is now the new root chakra. So we're still going to the seventh chakra, to the 12th chakra. Yeah, we can embody the 12th chakra right now if you wanted to. So it's understanding this. It's saying, be more rebellious to your own belief. And Venus, right, the goddess of love, passion, magnetism, money, wealth, materials, like, yo, we also have the new moon in Capricorn. And who's the ruler of Capricorn? Saturn. So we need structure. We need discipline. We need material things to build this. And without that union within, you can never have the union without. And a lot of men right now are so weak because society has made them weak, but also because they've made themselves weak. They've really have weakened themselves to an energy field that is very ridiculous. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I honestly, like, my compassion is very sharp. I have a very sharp, compassionate tongue. Like a true queen of swords. I'm here to anoint you, or I'm here to behead you. And there's a lot of beheading going on a collective scale, because the authenticity of a soul doesn't come from your family name, it doesn't come from your bloodline, and it doesn't come from your society or your friendship or your job or your title. It comes from Creator and your soul, to leave all of that and rise out of all of that. And there's so many deeper layers to what is going on. But right now, men really have to ask themselves, are you going to enter heaven by taking the sacred action you need to take, which is literally open communication, being vulnerable, investing with a goddess, right? Stop mooching off the goddess. Stop trying to sneak in and get some sexual energy from the goddess, or try to pretend everything's good. I'm talking about investing. I mean, buying courses, buying initiations, spending money. It is the key to a man's role here. It is really is. And getting initiated properly without physical sexuality or karmic energy. You can get initiated by a goddess, by a professional initiation, because you're stepping into the right goddess's temple. And she is right because she scares the living shit out of you, right? It's like Kali is right in front of you. Sekhmet is right in front of you. It's the frequencies. Oh my God, like Hecate, Lilith, like Medusa. Like I'm seeing all of her in this one person. Like it's too much for me. But that's when you know you're with the right goddess, because she's going to scare the shit out of you and she's going to kill you. You know what I mean? And die well so you can be free. And I mean that in the deepest way, because you have to understand it's like we know that we need these men to create or co create heaven with. If heaven was only supposed to be for women, then why the fuck are there men awakening? It doesn't make sense. They're supposed to be kings and queens all over the world on top of the mountain, holding hands in unity, supporting other kings and queens. This is the true power couple. This is the union outside. This is the prophecy. But we also have to understand there are a lot of delusional teachers, a lot of old karmic teachings, beliefs. And to be honest with you, a lot of people just at war with themselves. This is what I want to say to you. A man should know his role. A woman should know her role. Now, I'm not talking about thousands of men and thousands of women getting together. I'm talking about one and one, which is two. And this is very important because this is why we have practices like Tantra or awakening eros, because it is the Kundalini activation that is helping these two souls clearly communicate, openly being vulnerable with one another, and setting the fucking boundaries on what their roles are. You're not here to impress the village. You're here to lock in a divine counterpart that you guys understand each other just like the divine energy is understanding each other. So, for example, as a goddess, I'm above my God, right? First of all, let me just say this. He comes to her as king because he can never be God without her. That's the first thing I want to say. So this is no God complex. What I'm speaking of is the frequency and the embodiment of the lower gods and goddesses. We are lower gods and goddesses. I am not creator. I'm not even a higher goddess and God because I'm still in physical form. So what I'm speaking of is the king frequency. He can never be God without her. That's why it's called goddess. The first three letters is God. Hello? Come on. Everything's right in your face. Don't be so stupid. So he comes to king. He comes as king, and king holds a lot of responsibility, by the way. He's done a lot of work. He knows he's now in full devotion to his goddess because the goddess is the closest to our creator, our beloved, the energy that ignited his soul for his awakening. He worships her. He comes bowing physically and obviously energetically because he is now surrendering his egotistical programs, right? The matrix programs, the patriarchal programs, but also bowing to her in devotion to understand that my armor is off in front of you right now. Because when we step back outside, the armor will go on because we're still the warriors, right? We're still warriors. We're still fighting for something. That's the leadership. But for now, I've surrendered all of my armor. I'm coming to you naked, transparent, raw. I know who you are. You are my goddess. I devote my entire being to you, physically, spiritually, emotionally, into eternity. I will always be underneath you. Why? I will protect you, goddess. I will provide for you. I will cherish you and uphold you onto your pedestal publicly. Publicly. This is when you realize, fuck, my entire identity has shifted as a man because Me now, let me say that, pretend that I am him. I am now going on to my Instagram page and I'm deleting everyone and I will only follow my goddess. I will have zero. If I'm single or if I'm not with my divine partner as a man, I will be following zero because that is a physical claimation that I am embodying a legacy. I'm embodying leadership because a leader doesn't follow anyone. You're already in it. You're there. Now, when I'm claiming my goddess, I'm stepping into it. She will be the only one I follow because the moment I kiss her, I have now married her on the spiritual level. I have claimed her as my goddess. And now, not only privately, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, she's mine, but she also has to be publicly mine. So you have to be prepared for all of that. And that's why the goddess is sitting above him. He has put her on the pedestal as she has always been. She's always been on the pedestal. This is the issue with a lot of women. They don't know they're on a pedestal. And this is why the feminine's rising, the feminine's rising, the feminine's rising, right? So now she goes, good. Now I'm going to step into my feminine more because I will be masculine to all of these motherfuckers on the street. I will be the ninja. All I see is Anubis. I see like big, big, strong, beastly man. But to you, my king, I will be more in my feminine, which means I will be co creating with our creator and I will be giving you the codes. And that's where you put the physical energy into. And that is why she's above him, because only she has that vision. Only she has that code. Only she has the permission to do so. He respects her so much. And that is the energy of a power couple. That's the energy of divine union. Judge a man by his wife. Now, a lot of men are going to be looking in the mirror this year and looking at their partners. And their partners can also be the women that are around them. And they're going to say, she is not a goddess. And please understand, there is divine feminine, there is a queen, there is the sacred feminine, there is the priestess, and then there is the goddess. This is not personal, it's vibrational. You have to take these steps. You don't skip steps. And remember, the goddess gives birth to the priestess gives birth to the sacred feminine gives birth to what? The queen gives birth to the divine feminine. This is the ancient law. This is the order, the divine order. This is divine justice. This is divine inheritance. This is divine union. Rising and rising and rising. Now, can you use different words? Of course you can. I'm using labels to give you the activation. These are the labels that I have been teaching since I died in 2019. In 2019, I died and had an ancient soul walk in. I never read a book. I never took a course. I never did anything like this. I never went to a retreat. It all came in within 12 months after I died, and my ancient soul walked in. And thank God they gave me at least 12 months because I had a lot of integration to do. So, what I'm saying to you is that as an ancient one, as the goddess codes are here, we are now expecting the men to come as what we know they need to come as. If they come as anything else, we will behead them. You have to understand, we have done so much work. We've had our heart broken so many times. We've been doing this for lifetimes. A lot of us have been doing this for lifetimes. Our nervous system can no longer support the expired old karmic frequencies that these men are bringing to us. That's why we have such strong boundaries, because we are literally feeling disrespected as women. But this is where we need to be, ladies, so these men can fucking rise. And I'll tell you why. Because any leaky energy you give to a man who is not working in his highest embodiment is a waste of your life force energy and a waste of his. And you know what happens to a waste of life force energy? You're depleted, you're broke, you're depressed, and you're unmotivated. And how are you going to create empires or build power couples with that? You don't. You're just watching the clock tick tick tock, another face, another cycle, another year wasted. So, judge a man by his wife. It's time for the men to look in their mirror and look at their partners. It's time for men to look in the mirror and to see who they have become and how much time they have wasted. It's time for these men to look in the mirror and see, holy shit, I betrayed her and I betrayed myself. It's time for you to face it all, because only in that moment you realize I have to make moves. And if you're saying again, what is the move to make? Put money into your initiation. That is the biggest energy exchange a man can do to get initiated. To be celibate is also a huge act of devotion. To understand that you're getting prepared for this union, and this union demands celibacy, because you must understand your body and your energy is only for one. That really kills off all the spiritual fuckboys out here. And number 3, communicate. Open up your throat chakra and communicate. Communicate everything. No more perfectionism. No more waiting for me to be ready. Like, none of that. Men, you have to understand, like, the divine feminine, the queen, the sacred feminine, the priestess, the goddess, we are no longer, our nervous system will no longer accept this. Because if you are feeling this, these are the things you must do. If you don't, then honey, sit back and watch the person you're in love with be with another man. Because I'm telling you, that's what's about to go down. I'm just being honest. Like, you're about to lose it. And remember, you can't enter heaven without her. You could be with a regular woman, but you're going to be you're going to, you might be awakened, but you're still going to be uninitiated. Not every woman can initiate. And we know this. It's pretty obvious. So, this is the message. And I thought this was very profound. There's so many things coming into the temple. And, now that you are just feeling this energy, you can definitely comment below and, don't be disrespectful though. Like, when I come on and teach you guys something, if you start disagreeing with me, I'll block you. I'm not here to hear your disagree. I don't care about your opinion. What I need to know more is, okay, like, I need to step into this more, or I need to focus on this more, or this is like, this is what we need to hear. I don't need anybody to argue with me, because you're arguing with yourself. Have you ever approached a goddess and tried to argue with her? I'm just saying, like, it's bad karma. Hindus teach this really well. If you want to really know, the rules, they the Hindus will teach you. Hinduism will teach you. What karma do you get when you disrespect a goddess? And that is how you know when you're dealing with an initiated man or an uninitiated man. And it's the same as a woman. If you're initiated, my right ear is ringing right now. If you're initiated, you would never argue with a goddess. You will say thank you to her and you will make the comments in an aligned, beautiful fashion because this message is aligned to you. If you're uninitiated, you will start arguing, you will be defensive. You will have opinions that have nothing to do with what this transmission or this teaching is about. It's because again, it's vibrational. How many times have I had a certain man enter my field and he constantly argues with me? He constantly says no to me. I say something, he says no. Right away, I'm like, you're gone. You're gone. You don't say no to a goddess, especially if she's not yours. This is different. This is the perfect final message from a true goddess. How dare you say no to a goddess when she is giving you her gracious time and effort and opening up to you in whatever capacity she is in that time, and you say no to her? You're not even her partner. You don't have the right to even say no to her. Like, that's what I'm talking about with the respect aspect of it. Someone can go, oh, that's so egotistic. How can that be egotistic? I just said I'm a goddess. Ego means edging God out. This has nothing to do with ego. This is divine authority. This is rulership by throat chakra. This is about centered, integrated, not reacting nervous system. This is what I'm referring to. So a lot of men think they know more than her because of what they read, what they watched, or what they smoke. Uninitiated men who think that they know everything because they read a book. No. To me, those are just weak men who haven't faced the face of a true goddess. You haven't looked into the eyes of the goddess. And if you have looked into the eyes of the goddess and you're still saying no, there's something very wrong with you. I'm being honest with you because you haven't got it yet. And then they go on and they read like some of my stuff when I say, like, oh, a goddess has always and will always know the higher truth. Anything else will be a karmic situation. They go, oh, that's so true. And then again, no. So this is what I'm referring to. This is the disrespect I'm referring to. It's initiated or uninitiated. You will know the difference of where you are by how you react to this message. And guess what? That's your responsibility. That's your problem. That's your work. That's your fault. It is your fault. Because you have to understand, this is Saturn. Saturn's going to be like, you failed. You failed. You're a failure. You're a coward. You're weak. That's how a goddess works with Saturn. New moon in Capricorn. And imagine bringing Pluto into this. We can even get even more vulgar. But that's how it is. Because you have to understand, we don't have emotions in this energy because we're not in the emotional body. The uninitiated are in the emotional body. So they were like, wow, she's judging me. Wow, she's a bitch. Wow, no. An initiated person is in the etheric template. They're like, you know what? Yep, facts, true that. Because we're not dealing in the emotional body anymore. Meaning we have matured. There's a standard here. Again, this is the energy for 2026. Men, you need to understand, if this resonates with you, it's time for you to do what I just said for you to do for those top 3. Pay money with the goddess, get initiated, celibacy, and you need to start communicating without perfectionism and without being ready. Ladies, ooh, you know what time it is. It's time to hold up your sword and initiate or behead. I'm not talking about every single woman on planet Earth. I'm talking about those who are initiated. Because you won't have a sword, honey, if you're not initiated. Just saying. So, this is the energy. This is what we're about to step into. It's profound. It's amazing. It's like, oh, thank God. Because it's so simple. It's so simple. And I think that now that a lot of people are getting so sick of failed relationships, you're going to realize it's because I need to step into this higher code. I need to step into this ancient truth. I need to step into this ancient law because, baby, 1 + 1 is 2. Your nervous system is done with all the drama. Your nervous system is done with the wars, the false teachings, the disillusionment, like I need to stop talking. I can't talk anymore, but like the false teaching of women who hate men and they teach about all of the spiritual concept because deep down inside they actually have a hatred to men, or vice versa. Men who hate their mothers, so they're just projecting to all these women. No, we've healed all that. We've closed all of that out here in this space. It's about understanding, wow, like this is so mature, it's so grounded, it's so calm, it's so safe. What do you mean? It's that simple? Oh my God, let's do this. This is what I've been waiting my whole life for. This is where love turns into authenticity, and authenticity turns into power, and power turns into legacy. Let's go. This is the transmission for today. Judge a man by his wife. Love you.